lights shine them bright. Gonna have a brand new show tonight with glitz and glam on the marquee. Perhaps a Tony nominee. Stars beam brightly, see them glow. Sell out nightly, SRO. It's time to applaud the Broadway Beat. Stars beam brightly, see them glow in the sunlight of a show. Life is sweet on the world's most famous street.
Tickets, please.
Take a seat
Cue the band.
and have your feet to the rhythm of the Broadway Beat. The Broadway Beat. Broadway Beat.
Hello, I'm Richard Ridge, and welcome to Broadway Beat, our weekly half-hour behind-the-scenes look at the very best of a New York theater on Broadway and beyond. This week we have a great show filled with comedy and Southern drama. We'll have a look at the Roundabout Theater Company's new production of Suddenly Last Summer, the psychological drama by Tennessee Williams, and chat with the cast led by Tony and Emmy Award winner Blythe Danner. We'll also drop by the Broadway opening of Douglas Carter Beane's dishy new comedy about Hollywood entitled The Little Dog Laughed, which once again stars Julie White. Joining her are Tom Everett Scott, Johnny Galecki, and Ari Grainer. But let's start things off at the Little Schubert and meet comedian Steve Solomon, who's one of America's leading comedians, and his new show entitled My Mother's Italian, My Father's Jewish, and I'm in Therapy. Billed as 1 part lasagna, 1 part crepe block, and 2 parts Prozac, this 90-minute laugh fest is directed by John Boab.
But the weirdest thing is when my Jewish grandmother would come over to my Italian mother and try to convince my mother to keep kosher. My mother couldn't make any sense out of the Jewish dietary laws. She knows something about having to keep meat and milk apart. You couldn't eat pork and shellfish like shrimp, lobster, clams, but she did the best she could, and I would listen in. My mother would start.
So let me get this straight. You can't eat meat and milk together, it's no kosher. I told you before, it's not kosher. So like veal parmesan, that's no good. The meatball parmesan, the cheeseburger. You're starting to understand, okay. What about the chicken parmesan? No, chicken parmesan is not kosher either. Okay, what about fish parmesan? No, that's okay, that's kosher. Okay, so shrimp parmesan is kosher. No, according to Jewish law, shrimp's not a fish. Let's go back to chicken. Chicken and cheese, that's no good, that's no kosher. I told you it's not kosher. Okay, what about eggs and cheese? No, that's okay, that's kosher. So let me get this straight. If I got an egg in this hand and a piece of cheese in this hand, that's a kosher until the egg hatches, and then it's no kosher.
It was really weird. I mean, I was assistant to the superintendent of schools out on Long Island for a long time, and worked pretty well. But after a while, the bureaucracy got to me. I couldn't take it anymore. I was always doing like roasts for the people in the groups, and I always had a desire to do that. I mean, I did sound effects and voices all my life. We tell a story which is the truth. When I was 12, I was a delivery boy for the Chinese restaurant in Brooklyn. And we had apartment houses. When I would go to the apartment house and I'd ring the bell, they would go, "Who is it?" And I would say, "Chinese delivery," and they'd never open the door. So I learned as a 12-year-old that when they said, "Who is it?" I would go, they would go, "Just a minute." So I knew I could make money with this. And I just figured God gave me this talent to do more than just torture my parents. So I followed my heart. I really did. It was a lot of fun.
Grandma, do all animals have testicles? Of course not, sweetheart. Just the octopus. Grandma, what's a fallopian tube? This is part of a television set. Says it takes 400 million sperm to fertilize one egg. Why? They don't stop and ask directions. Grandma, what are genitals? These are people who are not Jewish.
They're going to see 30 different characters. on the show. I do them all. I do all their voices. Sometimes I take their postures. Most of them are real or representations of people who are real. All of them are exaggerated, except for my mother and my sister, the smoker, who's real, and she can't stop, but it has nothing to do with the cigarettes, And my mother, and a lot of the crazy people that you meet on a day-to-day basis, whose sole purpose is to drive you into therapy, and they succeed.
My notes before the show begin with very sophisticated audience. There will be few laughs. You can tell. And then because we've been doing boffo business, and then other times you would say, wow, they're giggling before the show even begins. This is going to be great. Steve's going to be very happy. And you do sense there are different audience. It doesn't mean the sophisticated audience doesn't get it. It means that they're a little more restrained in their laughter. But the shock for me was that the show is playing so extraordinarily well with matinee audiences as well. There used to be the joke about the little old blue-haired ladies. Well, they're a little blonder in in New York. They're a little. They come for a good time, and he gives them a good time. I mean, that's what's nice about it. That I think that people have fallen in love with the title, and with Steve's picture, he just looks like every Lost Joe in the world. And I think that when they fall in love with that, then you're home. I mean, he doesn't have to explain himself.
I'm coming home and I met somebody. I'm delighted, sweetheart, tell me. You're going to be upset, Ma, I know it. She's not Jewish, Ma. As long as you're happy, darling, what could I care? She's Italian. What could be better than Italian? Great. We want to come home. We want to live near you. No, darling, you won't live near me. You'll live with me. You'll stay in the house. You'll sleep in my bed. Where will you sleep, Ma? It won't matter, sweetheart. When I hang up, I'm going to kill myself.
The best part of the journey is coming home to New York. I did it. I came back. And now I can share so much of what I did with so many of my friends and family and new friends on a daily basis.
Hello?
Pop, I got great news.
Hello?
I got great news about the therapy.
Is anybody there? Hello? Hello? Who is it? I'm finding out. Who is it? How could you be talking to somebody you don't know who you're talking to? Stop talking, I'll find out. Maybe it's Stevie. Put in your ears. My ears are in. Put in your ears. They're in the bedroom. Then go get them. Hello? Hello? Who's this? Hello?
After a sold-out run last season at Second Stage, Douglas Carter Bean's new comedy, The Little Dog Laughed, has just transferred to Broadway's Court Theater, where it is just open to rave reviews. The players in Douglas Carter Bean's deliciously biting farce includes Tom Everett Scott as screen idol Mitchell, who's hiding in the closet, Johnny Galecki recreating his role of Alex, the ambitious male prostitute, his naive girlfriend, Ellen, played by Ari Grainer, and comedic steamroller Julie White, who received accolades, is back as Diane, the brass-driven Hollywood agent who can spin anyone and anything.
We are in New York, which we of Los Angeles love, accepting awards from critics, which we love even more so. My client, a rising young movie star who suffers from a slight recurring case of homosexuality, has informed me that as his date, are you possibly seated for this? Yes. As his date to this evening's ceremony, he would like to bring his mother so that no one will know that he is gay.
The best part has been those theaters, man. These theaters are so beautiful. When you're kind of used to putting on shows in hovels, in like deserted supermarkets and abandoned firehouses, suddenly you find yourself in something that was actually built in 1912 to resemble the Palace of Versailles for Lorette Taylor and doing comedy. So they go, this is so beautiful, and go up to the second balcony there, and you just can't believe how beautiful it is. Being in the theater is great, because I'm a theater guy. I've always loved theaters.
You have everything going for you. Your plays seem to come out of you every other day. Films, books. You have a partner. You have a son.
I do have a little boy.
And you got a Broadway show.
I know.
What's next?
I really more envy from others would be great. No, I'm working on a new play. I'm working on musicals. I've got to write a great book for a musical. So I'm doing Xanadu this year. Repulsive, but I'll make it fabulous. Trust me. I'm going to do The Big Time, which is an original music I'm writing with Doug Cohen for Debbie Gravitt, my love. And that's really want to do. I want to hit that. I want to knock it out of the ballpark. And I read them a lot. Books, because a book for a musical you can read in an evening. It's not like there's a ton of, you just kind of go through them.
Actually, Doug I was sent the script when I was in Greece, and I loved the play, but I also was in Greece, and I thought, well, I'll like anything in Greece. So I said I'd like to read it again in New York. So I read it again in New York, and I really loved it. So I said, and I love Doug. We had talked about doing another play, and then this play came up. So I really said, well, let's do it. So we did.
What I love about his writing is it's so layered. It looks like this big fun comedy, and there's so many layers.
No, it's much deeper. I mean, people can look at it as, it's this fluff, but when you really get underneath that and see what they're struggling with and what they're giving up and what they want, I think it says a lot about society and what people are willing to do for happiness and finding themselves and who they are and all that. I just think it's really remarkable.
I know that you must get lonely sometimes, but we are just now on the brink of everything we've ever hoped for. Let's not blow it. Now, we're buying this play for you. It's not wise for you to show up with some Twinkie fuck on your arm. Take pictures up. By the way, does he know?
He's about to.
No, what?
Alex, was it? Oh, I like that name, really. Is that actually your... Okay, never mind. You see, Alex, Mitchell and I have a kind of, it's like a relationship, only it's enjoyable. What we have, more than anything, is our mutual love for one another and our combined love for our work. And there is no personal relationship that we can ever have that will ever be larger than that. Now, I've known Mitchell for how long now?
7 years.
7 years! That's almost half your life, Alex.
Well, first that it took place, that would be here in New York. I'd never done a play here in New York. I generally go back to my hometown of Chicago and do theater when I can afford to do theater. And so I was excited about that, and then I just with every scene, I was that much more excited about it, and I thought it was funny, and I thought it was profound, and I thought it was what good theater for me is. It's whatever. There's so much to take away from it if you're in the mood to. I think there are profound emotional things that you can walk away, or you can just have a great time as well. You can take the roller coaster that the show is as well. But there is something profound to discuss over a slice of pie or a beer or whatever your poison is after the show, if you do choose to. There's a lot of different elements going on and very complicated, layered characters.
I think Douglas is a brilliant writer, but it's the layers of the character. It's what's not said that you see through all of you. That's the best thing of watching you as an audience member.
Yeah, and it's one of the best things about playing as characters too, because how can you possibly get bored with that? You have all of these layers and you have all of these complexities, and then you have how the character can or cannot articulate all of those things, and that's the real fun.
Well, when I read it, I really wanted to do it. I started reading it, and I knew immediately I wanted to do it. Yeah, I love Douglas's work. I love working with Douglas on the Country Club, and I knew Julie White from before we did a TV series years ago. I just wanted to do it, and I was beyond flattered. They asked me to do it, and I was in the middle of shooting a series, and I just had a great day the rest of that day after I knew I was going to be coming here. This is a dream come true. Me and a kid who wanted to be an actor all his life, this is the pinnacle of doing theater, and it couldn't be going any better.
Talk a little bit about Mitchell. I mean, it's a great character that Douglas wrote.
Yeah, and that's what I like about it. It's so complex. I mean, he's a guy who's struggling with his identity and what he really wants, and it's I was trying so hard to find these parallels, and then they really just come to me. There's a lot. I think we're all that way. I think we all want to be able to do do many things, and sometimes they conflict, and this is on such a big level, and it's sad. It's so sad at the end, and to play the guy who's going for the thing that isn't quite what he's dreaming of being is it's what he's doing, what he's dreaming of being, but he's not actually following his heart. Like that's a killer. That's hard.
I love her spirit. I love her sense of humor. I love her heart. I think she feels things so deeply, and she's just very complicated, but tries to pass herself off as fully capable in life, but is really crumbling in the inside, and it's really fun to play and figure out.
What do you think of the play as a whole when you first read it?
I love it. I mean, it's so funny. You just can't help but read it and die laughing. But there's so much heart, and it's so true, and and about love, and about finding yourself, and about sacrificing yourself for success. And it's great. It has everything, I think.
I have been shopping all day. Where did you even get to last night?
Some of us have to work for a living, Ellen.
Oh, please, honey, let's not get all baby Jesus in a manger about the nobility of work. You sleep with older men in hotel rooms from town on business.
What can I say? I get to work with my hands.
If you're lucky.
Oh, it's a really thrilling show to do for an audience because it is such a ride, and they come along with me, and I like talking right to an audience, and it's just fun. And then just that feeling that they're in on everything with me. They're so on my side, even though I'm a terribly evil person. I know. So that to me is part of the fun of it. It's like, come on, you want to be with the nasty girl, don't you?
Why is that? Why is it always like, the bitch, the villain, the Joan Collins? Why is it her?
I don't know. I mean, I've said before to other people, it's kind of a tradition in commedia that there's a crafty servant. It's like the Poirot character who, like the movie star, she's really his servant. But you want to see that 10%er, be smarter than anyone else on the stage. And be 5-10 steps ahead of them.
That's really who you drew on, right? Commedia dell'arte.
Yeah. I kind of think so. That and a little bit of the Wizard. I always remember in my head. I got the little piece of the song stuck in my head. If the Wizard is a wizard, who will serve? And I think I am. I think I give them all exactly what they needed.
Where do you get the energy? I would think that would be the hardest challenge for this role. Is it?
No, it's not. I mean, you go out in front of 1,100 people, you'd get a lot of energy too. I mean, I just don't want to let you down. It's like having a dinner party for 1,100. You don't want everybody to have a good time. And you get like hostess energy. And, then I guess there's always drugs when that doesn't work.
He, meaning him, speaks.
I want, he meaning him says deliberately, I want your word. My word. You want my... What type of negotiation ploy is that? What type of mind fuck is this? My word? It's the last thing I have. It's the only thing I'll ever have. Oh, it's the thing I gave away so long ago I'd forgotten that I had it. My word! You're asking a whore for her cherry.
The Roundabout Theater Company continues its blockbuster season with the revival of Tennessee Williams' psychological drama Suddenly Last Summer. The play first opened off-Broadway in 1958 as part of an evening called Garden District. In 1959, it was turned into a film starring Katharine Hepburn, Elizabeth Taylor, and Montgomery Clift. This time around, Tony Award winner Blythe Danner stars as the formidable Mrs. Venable, an aging widow distraught over the mysterious death of her son Sebastian. When the young cousin traveling with him, played by Carla Gugino, begins raising scandalous allegations, Mrs. Venable enlists the help of a young doctor, played by Gail Harold, to preserve her son's reputation.
Sebastian was a poet. And that's what I meant when I said his life was his work, because the work of a poet is the life of a poet, and vice versa, the life of a poet is the work of a poet. I mean, you can't separate them. I mean, for instance, a salesman's work is one thing, and his life is another, or can be, and the same thing is true the doctor, or your merchant thief. Oh, but a poet's work is his life, and his life is his work in a special sense, because... I've already talked myself breathless and dizzy.
You know, I've always had such an affinity for Williams, always, and have been fortunate enough to play at 3 of his women, and just there's something that he fills that very few playwrights can. You know, he really transports you to a world that's full of conflict and joy and grief and sort of all the colors, and it's just a joy to embrace him and play him.
How well did you know this play? Because I think this is one of his finest plays.
Yes.
It may not be one of his most well-known plays, but I think the writing in this and the character development is so wonderful. Did you know it well before you got involved?
No, I didn't actually. And Carla and I did a reading at the Roundabout several months ago, and it just resonated so strongly in each of us. I think that he loved this play, I think, more than any other, or at least he said he really loved it, because I don't know if Carla or whether you'd read it, but he wasn't allowed to have, he was an analysis, and he wasn't allowed to have sex, and he wasn't allowed to write. So all of this poured out of him because, he'd been prohibited from sort of following what instinctively he did so often. So I think it's so intense because of that, too.
It's a very strange play. It's extremely easy for it to become psychological and theoretical and intellectual and all those things, because that's what it is. And he's humanized it in such a way that I think that all of us as actors have been able to just feel real, and that's the trick of the play, is making it accessible not only to the people that are watching it, but to the people that are performing it, because there are, it's a strange play.
Sister, I want you to please be very careful what you say to your Aunt Violet about what happened to Sebastian in Cabeza de Lobo.
What do you want me to say about what?
Just don't say that same fantastic story for my sake and George's sake, the sake of your brother and mother. Don't repeat that horrible story again, not to Violet, will you?
Well, then I'm going to have to tell Aunt Violet what happened to her son in Cabeza de Lobo.
Well, honey, that's why you're here.
Mrs. Holly gets to come on and do hilarious, edgy, wonderful things, and yet still be so emotionally involved and care so desperately. She stands to win $100,000, which in 1936 was worth $1.3 million during the Depression. So high stakes. There's never a moment where the stakes aren't incredibly high in this play, and the language is beautiful. I mean, there is no better poetry in our field than the words of Tennessee Williams. He's a poet.
Well, George Holly is a youngin', and he needs something so bad that he's willing to sacrifice another part of his family to get it, I think. And the great thing I think about the way that Mark has done it is like we are all. It's not camp. We're all humans. We're all basic human. Like we're humans that have gone down to their basic needs. And I think that when you, I don't know, to borrow a phrase from Doug Wright, if you find the beating heart of any story, it's going to make sense and it's going to touch people, audience members, in a way.
We won't get a single damn penny. Honest to God, we won't. So you've just got to stop telling that story about what you say happened to Cousin Sebastian in Cabeza de Lobo. Even if it's what it couldn't be true. You got to drop it, sister. You can't tell such a story to civilized people in a civilized, up-to-date country.
Because why did you invent such a tale?
But, Mother, I didn't invent it. I know it's a hideous story, but it's a true story of our time and the world we live in and what did truly happen to Cousin Sebastian in Cabeza de Lobo.
What's incredible about a great
playwright is that the more you do it and the more you read it, the better it gets, which is incredible. I mean, I think it's a testament to great writing. At first I thought, this is, it's a very specific structure and it's a very personal play to him, and he's written these amazing characters, and all of those things were clear to me at the beginning. But I actually think it's sort of genius now. Like, I really have actually, each performance I find a line or a moment that is just, that I discover that I didn't see before. And it's interesting, there'll be a line that I'm having a problem with or feeling like, why am I not connecting with that? And I'll look at it again and I'll go, oh, there's a dash there, that's why. It's really interesting. I mean, he was just such a phenomenal writer, and I feel so blessed to play this part.
It's been really exciting to watch this play with an audience, because I think it's very demanding, because you really have to listen to it. There's not a lot of physical action. There's not. It's a very verbal play with a lot of big set pieces, a lot of big verbal arias, and audiences have been very captivated by it, I think, and very attentive, and have really stuck with it, and have been very, very still. And that's been really exciting, to sit in the house and have the audience be so attentive and so engaged by what's going on in a play that is so wordy, because I think we're just not used to that. Our attention spans are unfortunately a little shorter than that.
You see, I'm holding my hand out, and I want you to put yours in mine and give me all your resistance. Pass all of your resistance out of your hand into mine.
Here's my hand, but there's no resistance in it.
You are totally passive.
Yes, I am.
You will do what I ask.
Yes, I will try.
You will tell the true story.
Yes, I will.
The absolutely true story. No lies. Nothing not spoken. Everything told exactly.
Everything exactly.
Judging from the reaction, I guess more little girls than we thought had been twisted around some guy's little finger. Turned out to be a revolutionary idea. Walk like a man. Hey, some guys have been elected president on this. Walk like a man.